What's up, guys? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and I got a sharpening choil on my Spyderco this morning. So, I told you guys that if I did figure out how to do that, I would let you know how I did it, and this is the video that will explain just that. Okay, so, two disclaimers. Number one, I am very familiar with Dremel tools. I use them every single week. I do not cut my dog's nails. I Dremel them off with a Dremel tool. I use one of these and I just sand their little nails off. So I've been doing that for many, many years. I am very familiar with using a Dremel tool and handling one and controlling one. It's like second nature to me. So it was much easier for me to do this than it probably will be for most people. Second disclaimer is I have a very logical, mechanical mind. Thank you, Dad. So things like this literally are just so easy for me. I can generally do something like this first try, maybe second. Again, very easy for me to do anything mechanical or just stuff in general. It's just easier for me than most people I've noticed. So take everything with a grain of salt. If you are somebody who tends to need a lot of practice to do things, especially with motors, please go to your local Walmart or maybe your local hardware store, grab a couple of really cheap knives to practice on, because once you do this, you cannot go back. So if you are not somebody that usually does well with this kind of stuff, practice first on a cheap knife, okay? You cannot reverse this and it will void your warranty on basically any knife you do this on, okay? So for me, it was very easy and fun and simple, and I nailed it the first time. What you're gonna need is some type of Dremel tool. So I have the Dremel Lite. I've used many different types of Dremels. I really prefer the wireless ones with no cord. Much easier to use for me. You're also going to need the small cone-shaped diamond file accessory. You may have to purchase that separately depending on what Dremel model you purchase. Some of them come with the whole toolkit, some of them do not. So this one came with this little toolkit with a ton of tools in it, a whole bunch of little accessories, and one of them that was included was the little diamond file. But you may have to purchase that separately if you get like one of the cheaper models that just comes with the basic sanding head. So all you do is put your cone-shaped Dremel accessory on. It will come with a little wrench to put that on. So you have a button here. It has a little like padlock on it. You're going to press this in, loosen up your head here. Okay, so you loosen that up and you'll be plopping this little head or this little tool accessory right in there. Okay, and then you'll tighten it back up. Once it's in there, and it's going to look something like this. Once it is nice and snug, you are going to figure out a couple of things. Number one, where you'd like to do this project. For me, I sat in my chair in my bedroom and I held the Dremel between my knees. You do not want to be moving this. You're going to be moving your knife. This Dremel tool has to stay stationary. Imagine that it's like basically a tiny grinder, okay? You do not want to move this. This needs to be stable and stationary, and you're going to be moving your knife and working it around the top. If you have a vise in like your workshop or something, go ahead and secure this into there. But for me, using it like just tucked in between my knees was perfectly fine. Second thing you want to figure out is how big do you want your choil? Do you want it to be basically tiny and just enough to actually sharpen correctly, or would you like it to be a decent sized choil? That you need to figure that out, because this cone, if you can see, obviously flares out at the end. So logic would tell you if you use the top part of this, you will get a small choil, and the further you work down, the larger your choil will be. So for me, I wanted a very small one, and I only used the very top portion of this file. Then you need to make sure that you get it on the right speed. So this has, it looks like 4 speeds. I used it on speed number 2. So first one, okay, that's what it sounds like. Second one, that's the speed that I used it on, number 2. You're going to turn this on and secure it in whatever you're using, your vise, your knees, whatever. You're gonna keep it stationary like this. And what you're going to do is take your pocket knife, whether it's something more expensive like this or your cheap one that you're practicing on, and you are going to hold your knife very securely and gently tap it into the moving Dremel head. I'm not going to obviously turn this on right now because I already did the choil and that would just be stupid to actually do right now, okay? So pretend this is on. You want to just, let's see, how can I need to figure out how to actually show you guys this. You are going to start tapping where you want the choil onto the head, okay? And you just want to do it momentarily. You do not want to burn your steel. You do not want to burn out the motor on your Dremel. So it's going to be just quick, delicate taps. And for me, I used the very tip of the tool. I'm so sorry that this is not focusing. I'm trying my best here. I used the very tip of the tool and just did little tiny taps until I could see that it was removing metal and making a very small, come on, it's just not going to focus. I'm sorry, guys. A very small indent right in there. And then I flipped it over and I did the same thing on the other side because it's not going to go all the way through the blade. So because I'm using such a small surface area, I did like one side first, then I flipped it over and I did the same thing on this side. And again, you can kind of mess around with how big you want the choil because for me, I really used the very tip, and then when I was done, I kind of cleaned up the whole area by going like this. I just gently moved the blade back and forth to clean up the inside of that. And obviously, if you want a larger choil, you can just move further down. But I really suggest starting small because you cannot reverse what you do. So at least if you start small, if it looks too small, you can make it a little bigger, but you can't make it too big and then go, shit, I want it smaller. You cannot do that. So when you're done, just kind of gently clean up in there by just doing that. Same thing on the other side. Do that. And it came out flawless for me. I'm very pleased with the results. I just removed a tiny bit of steel and I have space now without that blockage to contact the entire edge. And I really wish this would focus better because it cleaned up so nicely. It looks really good. And I can contact a sharpening stone completely now with this knife. Let me grab a stone real quick so I can show you guys for proof. So now when we take this diamond stone, which is one that I tend to use, not this literal stone, but diamond stones in general. Now we can contact that entire edge because it starts right there. See? The edge starts right there and we can contact the entire thing super easily with no blockage on that stone. Can you guys see that little notch now? Can you see where the sharpening choil is now? Right in there. There's space. We have a little nook in there now. It came out really good. I suggest that you guys try this. It will make sharpening much easier. Please practice on crap knives first. That way you don't mess it up. But it literally took me approximately 45 seconds to do the entire thing. Very, very easy. The other thing I wanted to mention that is cool about Dremel tools is if you happen to mar up or dent any type of multi-tool reamer or chisel or anything, you can fix it with a Dremel. So I happened to really destroy this reamer on my Spirit X. I put it through a metal container punching holes in it that I needed like air holes in, and the steel is so soft it just like crumbled. It just completely melted, and this was totally trashed. And what I did was I took my Dremel tool this morning, I put my main sanding head on, so this was out, this one went in, and I was able to regrind the edge on my reamer, which is really cool because it was useless with how messed up it was. So with that, all I did was take this little tool. It was on the Dremel. I used speed number 2, just like the sharpening choil speed. And I reprofiled my reamer. And now it's nice and sharp and works perfect again. I took out all those dents. And this was really easy because it is chisel ground, and that is a very large bevel. See where the sun is reflecting right now? That is the entire bevel, so it is very wide. You can't really mess that up. So I just took my Dremel between my legs, and I reprofiled this chisel grind on the reamer again with this, and now it's nice and sharp. So Dremels are super useful when you EDC multi-tools or knives because you can fix them up and mod them and refurbish them with a Dremel tool. This is good to go again, and it only took 30 seconds on the Dremel to basically reprofile it and get all of those little dents out. So I suggest that you invest in a Dremel tool. They are super, super useful. I do not suggest trying to put like a new edge or something on a pocket knife with a Dremel. That would be scary, but you can do modifications. You can add like jimping to a knife. You can do sharpening choils pretty easily, and you can kind of like replenish edges on chisel grind things like a reamer or, I have a chisel tool on this. Where is it? I have a chisel tool on this Spirit X, and if I were to accidentally mess that chisel up right there, I could very easily fix it with the Dremel tool. So hopefully that kind of gives you guys some confidence to try this out. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I am not going to link where you can buy these things. I am sure you guys have the brain power to figure it out yourselves. I don't have time to do that. However, good luck in adding a sharpening choil to your knife. Again, leave questions or whatever down in the comments. And if you could go please use your motherfucking shit today, that'd be great. Okay? Because you can do it, and it is fun. Good luck, guys. See you on the next video. Peace.